Hey everybody, what's going on? Today, I thought I would jump in like mid-run so you could see as I've broken through another wall in Soul Mine, we can talk about the composition that I'm running that has been the most effective for me. Now, if you're not in week 3 yet and you haven't had your creep banner yet, then we've talked about that as well. We've talked about saving up your recruitment cards for week 3. 1, so you can go hard for creep, but 2, so you can go hard in the double chip event, right? Because that's going to be so much more beneficial for you. So if you're not in week 3 yet, this is good. You get to see an example of what I'm talking about. But for me, so far in my later game progression, the most effective composition I've found that gets me through most walls that I've hit is what I'm currently running here, and that is double Vanguard, AoE damage dealer, double healer. And I sandwiched my AoE damage dealer between the other two. So there's 2 Vanguards up front, AoE damage dealer in the middle, double healer in the back. I'm running Godier as my commander. I'm uploading a video right now, so my connection's gonna be a little wonky, but I'm running Godier and I'm running Pain Rune. And I think those 2 things together play a big part in the success of what I'm running. I'm also running Prism Amulet, which again, not everybody is going to have access to straight away. Eventually, as you progress through Twilight Lands, there's one in there. That's going to be a while unless you spent the money and got one. There are other options for that middle prototype, though. It doesn't have to be Prism Amulet. Now that, again, Prism Amulet is very strong, but there are other options there. And then the last one, I'm using Coronate. But I also think Flashpoint could be a really good one there. Coronate boosts your healer's healing. Flashpoint brings more shields into the mix, which definitely has some synergy with what we've got going on here, okay? I was stuck on 290 in the Soul Mine forever, and we finally broken through it. So rather than let them keep going, let's talk about the team in the team setup screen. Okay, so why is Godier and Pain Rune so good? If we look at him, he's displacement skill heroes, right? And it's Vanguards and Assassins. Displacement means they have a skill that moves them. Generally, teleport is what it's going for, but that doesn't always mean teleport. Creep, for example, charges, right? He leaps and charges and stuff. Those count as displacement skills too, because he's changing where he is in the motion of the move, I guess, right? So when they use a displacement skill, the damage caused by the next skill is increased by 60%, and they gain a shield equal to 30% of their HP for the next 5 seconds, okay? The shield part of that is what's important. Neither one of my Vanguards are built for damage. I don't care how much damage they're doing. They're there to absorb and protect my second and third row, okay? Ravenna is obviously very squishy. I need to avoid her taking damage as much as possible. So they're my wall up front. So they're both just high HP. The shield is the important part here. Now if we check out Pain Rune, when an allied assassin or Vanguard hero loses their shield, that shield explodes and inflicts AoE damage to the shield 20%. I've noticed they struggle. I've talked about this. They struggle when there's numbers involved, as well as 0.5 seconds rather of stun effect to enemies within a small radius. I would love to be able to get in here and reword some of this for them, because I'm sure that's tough with translation issues and stuff. But basically what it's saying is when Vanguards or Assassins lose a shield, it explodes and does damage around them based on 20% of the shield, and then stuns everyone around them for 0.5 seconds. That doesn't sound like a long time, but again, in these games, that is a long time, and it can happen at some very crucial moments sometimes. You can interrupt someone's ult, you can interrupt someone's move, you know what I mean? There's a lot of really impactful things that a 0.5 second stun can do in a fight, okay? So, they're getting shield from this, right? Every time they use a displacement skill, they're getting shield. And then every time that shield goes away, it explodes and stuns enemies around them. Now, Coronate, the healing effects of all allied support heroes should be increased by 25%. Mine is maxed out, so the numbers are higher, but it's still good even without being maxed out. Now, beyond that, this one's called Flashpoint. This is a really, really good prototype, okay? When an allied support hero casts a healing skill, The cooldown of their normal skill should be reduced by 10%. This is the important part. Any excess healing thereafter shall be converted into a shield and applied to the healed unit. The effect of the shield absorption shall last up to 10% of that unit's max HP. It's another shield. It's adding more shields into the mix. And obviously they're going to be getting lots of heals because they're going to be up front taking a lot of damage. So that's who the healers are going to be supporting. So with this setup, and again, I'm running Coronate because I can get away with it. If you don't have Coronate, or you wanted to just try Flashpoint if you've got it, that's a lot of shields constantly that are exploding and causing these 0.5 per second stuns. So one, it's this additive effect of all these individual 0.5 second stuns where your team isn't taking damage, where you're potentially interrupting ults. It's just disrupting the flow of the enemy team, okay? So this is, for me, had gotten me through most things. I've pushed so much further running this setup. Now, what'll happen occasionally, more so in the storyline than in the soul mine, sometimes you'll get enemies that have these weird things that they'll do. Like I was stuck on a stage for a while in story mode where there was two enemies up front, and one of them had this skill where he'd shoot rockets up into the air and they'd land in my middle row. So sometimes you have to watch and figure out why you're dying, because the solution to that was just this, right? And then that pushed me through that stage, and then I switched him back, right? Sometimes you just have to watch. If you've hit a wall in the story mode, it might not be a matter of you not being strong enough to do it. It might just be your composition needs a small tweak. Because literally that, just pulling her back made it so that Serena caught those missiles, and Serena can handle them. You know what I mean? My Serena's not going anywhere over something like that. So sometimes it's worth watching the first time you fail and because I'm sure you guys do the same thing I do. I turn on story mode and I drag it over to the side of my screen and I do other stuff, right? I'm not watching them every level they do. And then for a while when they'd fail, I'd think, okay, I've hit my wall, I'm not strong enough. But it matters. It matters a lot. Sometimes, I'll give you another thing. Sometimes what I do is I'll drop Ravenna. The way that I got through 290, where the Rakana was ruining my life, is I did this. I just took Ravenna out and I put Randall in. Randall fits into this scheme that the Godier Pain Rune setup is bringing. So it's just another version of it. Now, the difference is what I've done with my Randall is a little bit counterintuitive, but it's been very effective for me. I'm also using him like this in Arena. Oh, that's right, he's Legendary now, or Immortal. I have mine built full defense, and I went crit damage reduction because, again, I'm using him in Arena, and I'd rather have the crit damage reduction than the damage reduction. I don't think you should go both. I think you should usually focus a stat. So I've got him very tanky because I just want him to stay alive and keep doing the Godier Pain Rune cycle. I want him to keep getting shields and them exploding and doing damage and stunning, right? So I don't have him built for damage. Little counterintuitive because he's a good damage dealer. He can be a really good damage dealer, but I just want him alive in the fight to keep cycling through the shields, right? So every now and then if I hit a wall and Ravenna gets melted by something, right? The Rakana teleports back and kills her immediately. Maybe there's bigger AoE that I can't get her away from. I'll throw in Randall in her spot. And sometimes that'll get me through the wall, okay? But as far as the formula, I realize I'm covering these up too, but we've talked about all of them individually, so I'm sure you've been able to see them. This is the team setup that I'm running. I'm not running a tank, and I'm only really running one damage dealer. She's an intense damage dealer though, right? You need a pretty good AoE damage dealer to get away with something like this. Perhaps Emma could do it. I reckon Emma's single target damage is so high, she just individually nukes everybody out. But the AoE damage is pretty nice here. So this is what I'm doing. I thought I would just share it with you guys. I know not everyone has the same account necessarily, but especially if you're in week 3, we've all kind of had a similar path. And if you saved your cards and were able to get some copies of Crete, I don't think Crete has to be immortal, honestly. I was using, actually no, my Crete's not immortal yet. That's right. I'm still waiting on that last damn copy. So yeah, he doesn't even have to be immortal. He's still a legendary. So like here might be a good example of where I could show you a tweak that I'll have to make, because Ravenna just got taken out. And I don't know if we have enough damage now, especially with Liren alive, to do it. So what's probably going to happen here is the clock's going to run out on us. So what we'll do is we'll see if just pulling her back keeps her alive a little bit longer. And then maybe we get through it. This will be a good way that you get to kind of see this in action. Also, the more I see of him, I've had my eye on him since I started playing this game. He's ranked real low on most tier lists. And I have been looking at him since I started playing the game thinking, there's something there with this dude. I feel like this dude is going to be very usable. And the more I see of him, the more I feel validated. He's real interesting. I'm leaning real heavy into him on my free-to-play account. He's a lot of fun, man. I think he's a real problem. I think if you get one built really well in Arena, I think he's going to be a real issue for teams to deal with. So we're going to find out. Please kill him before he kills you, Ravenna. Yeah. So see, what we did was we just pulled Ravenna backline, got her out of the way of that big shot that came down the middle last time between my two vanguards, and now we're good. So sometimes it's something as simple as just one adjustment, right? Get your damage dealer in a different spot so they can't focus her the same way. And sometimes you'll go a whole extra chapter. I was stuck last night in, I think I was stuck at like 32:16, and I finally got through 32:16, and they ran all the way to 33, and then now I think I'm at 33:40. Am I stuck on 33:40? Get out of there. 33 or 32? Where am I? Yeah, 33:40. So I went from 32:16 straight to 33:40 with no issues, right? Sometimes it's not that you're not strong enough. It's just you need to make that one adjustment for certain stages every now and then you'll bump through and hit your real wall. This feels more like a real wall. You know what I mean? So that's it. I just wanted to show you guys what I'm doing, what's been working for me, and show you that sometimes one little thing can be the difference in getting through a stage that you've been stuck on for a while. So hopefully it was helpful. We'll keep making videos like this moving forward as I discover different ways that I'm running my comp that are effective, maybe new champs I'm introducing and stuff. But that's it. Hopefully it helps you get through a wall. So I'm getting out of here. Later, guys.